Am I streaming? Okay. Peace, everybody. Sorry for the delay on my end. Having some challenges trying to get things kind of squared away. We'll give it about 4 minutes and then we'll actually get started. So, if you're coming in, go ahead and relax. We're going to be talking about some basic things that are going to be very useful to you as a national and non-national. But obviously, for folks who are nationals, we want to give you certain tools, certain basic skills, and things of that nature you need to be aware of. So that way, you're not sitting with this business and like, yo, what am I doing with it? So let's just be on standby, and we'll kind of let everybody else get in and things of that nature. So appreciate the patience on that. So let me make sure that everything is good on my end. Let me check a few things. Let me see. Alrighty. Cool. Please. Boom. Let me see. Make sure everybody else is seeing that. Okay. Peace. We are having class. Cool. Make sure everybody getting in. Sorry for the delay on my end. So, let everybody get in and then we'll get this thing started. Let's see. Okay. Oh man, technology. Gotta get y'all squared away. Let me see if I can stream this on IP. Let's see. Switch it. I don't know if this is the right thing. I might do, but I'm gonna have to do that another time. Okay. Give it about 2 minutes, y'all. Appreciate the patience. Just kind of getting everything squared away. Okay. Make sure everybody can see my screen. So I'm about to actually minimize my screen, y'all, so y'all can see the presentation. So zoom out. Make sure y'all can see this. Cool. Alright. Y'all can see the screen, right? Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So on that note, let me go ahead and cool. So yeah, appreciate everybody's patience. Like I said, this class is going to be on business fundamentals and just technology basics. Again, to help non-nationals and nationals who may have a business through us, or they're thinking about starting a business. And these are just some fundamentals that you're going to need to know in order to actually kind of help your business grow and take it in the right direction. And that's the whole idea, because some nationals and non-nationals get businesses through us that are tax exempt, and they're like, okay, so what do I do with them? So that's reiteration. So, but before we get started, but we're also going to talk about investment opportunities that I think are worth looking into just because of the climate and the things of what's happening in the world. So we'll talk about that as well. And then we have some little bonuses as well that we're going to talk about. But before we get started, don't do that preamble. So again, this is something that, for those who are new, who are watching this, you may not know why we're doing the preamble. think of this as like the Pledge of Allegiance, but this is for within ARNA, and every national should know the preamble as well as the 12 general orders. So I'm going to kick it off. We, the people of the Aboriginal Republic of North America, asserting our natural Aboriginal rights as the oldest recorded Aboriginal indigenous peoples of the Americas, consisting of an Aboriginal union of indigenous people living in accord with natural law, the law of our ancestors, do hereby recognize all nationals of the Aboriginal Republic of North America as a unified community, establish our divine right to self-rule, a common defense of our nation, a complete unified will for progress and prosperity by and for our people, establishing justice by way of natural law and equality, and complete autonomy as a nation. Okay, cool. So I appreciate y'all's patience again. So again, as nationals, this is one of your duties and responsibilities. You need to know the preamble, and you also need to know the 12 general orders. If you're new coming to this channel, again, my name is Minister Kojo Shabazz of the HAWAB ARNA, Aboriginal Republic of North America, of the Shiamaru lineage. And again, we're going to be talking about just some business basics and technology. So if you're coming in, hit the like button, subscribe, stay tuned in because we're going to be doing a lot more of these videos on a weekly basis. So keep that in mind, okay? And this is always my favorite subject to talk about, but it's just a point that, let me move that out the way. Oops. It's a point that we need to talk about, and that's, have you paid your dues? No, this is like my favorite subject, but making sure as nationals that you're paying up to date with your dues. Remember, it's November 1st through December 31st. I know some of you are like, why do you keep talking about it every live? It's because it's important. I'm telling you, it's very important. I know y'all like, stop talking about it. I will never stop talking about it. So if I lose viewers, if I lose people, that's cool. But we got to do this as nationals. Why? It helps fund employment for nationals and non-nationals, as well as it gets us an idea of what the budgetary number is so that we can plan things accordingly, right? And then it helps us acquire different resources, equipment, and things of that nature, and as well as possible investments like in land, real estate, and things of that nature, or different types of things. And it just helps keep the government going, right? So keep those things in mind. I know y'all like, man, this ain't got nothing to do with business basics, but bear with me. So you want to start paying your dues because look at this. SoCal City to give, residents up to $900 per month in UBI. If that's not a slap in the face like, yo, we don't care, it's like, yeah, they don't care. So why do I bring this up? It's because all this plays a bigger picture into the whole thing that I think a lot of people are not paying attention to. So we'll cover that in a little bit, but just putting that on y'all radar, right? And then another thing I gotta mention is be careful who you're selecting as a mate because you may lose your life, right? Already this is a problem, what you're seeing right here on the screen, but here's the thing. This person right here, OnlyFans person, she had a channel, blah, 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 killed the brother right here. And that's not funny, but it's just like, and you know what happened? She's not in jail. Said mental issues. I said, really? Whew. Be careful who you choose as a mate. And they weren't even married, boyfriend and girlfriend. So I just wanted to throw that out there and put that on y'all's radar. So also, something that I gotta throw out there is the HAWAB squad and DFW. We did get recognized by the city of Dallas, the Dallas mayor. Special recognition just for some of the things that we're doing, and as well as the Aboriginal powwow that is coming up this month, y'all. Why are you showing this? I'm telling y'all because listen, got that event, y'all. April 22nd through the 24th. Tickets are on sale. We're going to be doing a lot. Come up, get your free bio scan, get a cosmology reading, all these different things that we're going to be talking about. Things like NFT, economics, IPA, Indigenous Political Authority, and just getting involved with your local governments and things of that nature. But actually offering solutions, right? But we also have an Apple Con, which we have an art contest. So those who are artists, go ahead and come on. participate in that thing, right? As well as we have a video game contest as well. So for those who are gamers, we're gonna have some fun, at this event, y'all. So I know I mentioned this last time, but you gotta come through. Last year was lit. This year it's gonna be even litter. So um, if you want more information, go to hawabdfw.org or feel free to reach out to any of the folks in the HAWAB area. So Shira, Dr. Shira, me, Ken, whoever, and we'll give you some information and things of that nature of how to actually participate, get involved, and things of that nature. Okay. So without further ado, let's talk about this investment opportunity, y'all. So there's this company called Arxis. So why are they even important? What does this even mean to you? How can you even participate? How do you get involved? Right? So a couple of things that kind of stuck out to me was that this company, it's a private company that won a U.S. Department of Defense contract up to $17 million. Team is from NASA, DARPA, and the National Geospatial Agency. So when you have a team that's solid, that has actual experience in the field that you're in, that you're doing business in, it's going to really help your business propel in the right direction, especially if everybody's working together in a cohesive manner, right? And then the market for outer space is like trillion, and for first movers like Arxis, you can't go wrong investing in them. So why am I even bringing them up? So typically when you're doing investments in private startup companies or just private companies, is that, listen, the game is to either they get acquired, meaning they get bought out through an M&A, or they get listed on the stock exchange and they go public, right? So, and that's one of the two ways as private investors you can make your money, and that's where your money is made, in those two areas, right? And I'm not saying it's not risky or anything like that, but anything that is worth investing in has some good potential for returns, right? So keep those things in mind. Um, the other thing that I wanted to mention is that, again, so Arxis basically in a nutshell is a platform for space, using satellite technology and things of that nature. Scalable, rapid prototyping. I mean, all these different things that they have for this satellite integration system that they've developed is key. And guess what? You have companies like Starlink, right, that are in the space, right? So why am I mentioning this company so much again? So Elon Musk obviously had acquired about, I think it was like 9% of Twitter, right? As far as like buying power, you get purchase a good amount of shares of Twitter, right? He can also do the same thing for Arxis, right? That's the idea, that he can basically buy this company out, merge it with the technology that they have with Starlink, and boom, that's money made right there. So will it happen immediately? We don't know. Could it happen a year later? It could be, and then that's a check that you get from your money on your investment, right? So that's the idea. Just again, I'm always throwing ways so that nationals and non-nationals can actually make money or just make some type of revenue with the currency that is just kind of sitting in the bank account, chilling, losing value, right? So anyway, where can you actually invest in this company? Net capital. So again, you don't have to, if you have a business with, through ARNA that was registered, we can show you exactly how you actually set that up onto the net capital platform, and where you're not having to worry about taxes, right? That's what I do. I've already invested in this company. Again, minimum investment is like $100. So with that $100, if they get bought out for like 40 million or even 60 million, just you do the math as far as like what's your return on your investment, right? So don't spend too much time on that. All right, y'all. So why am I bringing this up? The world is changing, y'all. Y'all see this image? You see this right here? World Government Summit, right? And one of the nationals in the HAWAB area had sent this over to me. This video is 6 hours long, y'all. And you won't believe some of the stuff they talking about. And it's like everybody around the world is talking about what is happening, what they're going to do, and what is changing. But we as a people are not staying up to breast and what's happening and what's changing, and just some of the things that we need to do to prepare ourselves. We got to stay ahead of the curve. We got to stay what we're doing, and because the things that they were talking about, it affects everybody from UBI to crypto to government to food to they talked about damn near everything. So why do I bring this up, right? You got people like her. You gonna trust people like her to? I know this is a crazy image of her, but you gonna let people like her come in the space and saying crypto like digital dollar is like at least several years away when this event took place like last week, right? And there was no major announcement, but she's saying it's years away. Look, it's already here. They're just they tell you something is like far eons out, but they already have it. It's already in the works. You got the digital yuan that's already in effect, circulating already. You think the U.S. is like digital dollars like that's crypto like is like years out. No. So keep that in mind, right? So that goes in conjunction with the world is changing. Again, UBI, y'all, is here. LA County sending $1,000 a month to some residents for the next 3 years, and applications are now open. This is a setup for disaster, inflation. So why do I bring this up? Well, you should start really honing in on starting indigenous businesses and doing contract with people, like contracting with people, right? So a good example where you could do indigenous business if you don't know what to do with it, or you just don't know how to get started, or you're just looking to do some work, right? Got Sun Village. Sun Village has some opportunities for work, y'all. You said some people said they want to help build a nation. Well, there's a whole town, and they looking for people to work. I know I've signed myself up for that. I'm happy to do so. But what I'm telling y'all is that this is another way that y'all can do indigenous businesses and contract with entities and things of that nature and still be moving in the right direction, right? So you're like, man, that has nothing to do with business basis. I'm telling y'all, I'm getting there, right? So just keep in mind, if you don't know where to go to Sun Village, sunvillage.org, or just Google Sun Village, California, and it'll pop right up and you'll see it. So go and apply. There's opportunities for y'all. Keep that in mind. Okay? So I know some of y'all like, I want to be a businessman. I'm not a businessman. I'm a business man. I'm like, yo, listen, y'all. I know some of y'all are very anxious. Y'all like, I got this business. I don't know what to do with it, but I want to be official. And it's like, okay, you want to be official, y'all, right? Well, we can talk about what y'all need to do. And then some of y'all say, well, I already have my tribal business, but what am I supposed to do now? And it's like, all right, y'all. This is what y'all need to start with. Mindset, right? And we're gonna get to some of the like nitty-gritty stuff. We won't spend too much time, but mindset. Mindset is everything. Mindset. The ability to solve problems. You got to be a problem solver. Be prepared to be not good at something initially, but just don't stay there, right? Thinking this will be easy and you already got this all figured out. Okay, if that's what you think. You just don't want to have certain expectations that are going to be like put you in a bad state of mind, especially if your mindset is not strong, your will is not strong. That when you miss the mark, it brings you to a negative space, right? So we just have to set reasonable expectations, right? And sometimes you want to set big expectations. That's cool. Just make sure you have a strong mindset. And then finally, like y'all, get a cosmology reading before you dive into this business idea that you're thinking of. Make sure that it actually makes sense, because sometimes if you're trying to start a home business and it's saying do not have home businesses or don't start home businesses, you probably don't want to do that, right? So always keep that in mind. And another cool thing is, do you have some money coming in already? Because if you don't, you need to get that base layer down, right? Because it's important. That's how you're going to keep some of the operations going as you grow your business, and then eventually you'll get to a point where, okay, The base layer, is the business, and then you can have another business, and so on and so forth, right? Some of y'all don't think y'all never will get tired. Y'all think y'all gonna last forever doing this business, whatever, or businesses. Um, but whenever sometimes I'll be talking to y'all sound like y'all damn near exhausted. I'm like, damn, I'm so tired. But you think you're gonna be running a business forever. Okay, y'all. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because you need to have a plan, y'all. You need to have a plan to, okay, what am I gonna do with this business? Am I gonna pass it on or am I gonna sell it, right? Have those things in mind with the businesses. Those are the two things. Either you're gonna sell it or you're gonna pass it on. I mean, you're gonna train somebody else to be the successor. But don't be like this person when it's like you got like this cat. You're at the end of the road and you're so goddamn tired. Okay? So some of the business basics, like I told you, you need a plan, y'all. If you don't have a plan, you don't know where to start with a plan, get with a jurist or a tribal lawyer. Will be gladly to assist you. Okay. The structures. I know some of y'all like, yo, I heard you gotta get your LLC. Some of that stuff was flying around on Facebook. Yeah, get your LLC. Open up your LLC. Open up your LLC. Okay, well, what's the point of you getting an LLC? A couple of different reasons. Maybe you're an engineer and you need some form of licensing because the contracts that you're going to be doing and interfacing with, they need to see some type of credentials. Or you're an architect and they need to see some type of credentials. Okay, you want an LLC for that, right? But if you have like maybe you're just selling merch and things of that nature, you don't necessarily need an LLC, but you can get a S corp, C corp, or an unincorporated association. Doesn't matter. The whole idea is that you want to separate yourself as the individual and the business. That's the whole. Oops. That's the whole point of choosing an entity. Now, in the U.S. jurisdiction, obviously they say that there's tax benefits and da da da. But listen, at the end of the day, when you come and register your businesses, with our tribal government, you don't have to worry about taxes, with specific entities, right? So, you need help on that, let us know, and we can help you with that. Keeping the end in mind, having an end in mind. What is the end goal like? Like I mentioned before, are you selling it? Or are you passing it on? And then basically being a problem solver, y'all. Okay. What is the mindset of your business plan, right? Like, do you want to set up one business and then that's it, or do you want to set up several entities, subsidiaries within that business, right? And some people don't know if that makes sense for them or not. Well, you got to ask yourself this, and I use this example. You see how Disney is Disney, right? But what's underneath Disney? ESPN, Marvel, ABC, and so much more. Why are they still in? But they're Disney, right? But they left the names the same because that's a brand itself, and people recognize the brands, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I know Marvel. It's not going to be Disney. It's Disney's Marvel, right? Because like you know Disney owns Marvel, right? So these are things that you want to think about for your business. Does it make sense to have just one entity that has everything that it's doing, right? Or does it make sense to separate it out based off of the different things that you're doing, whether it's in health, law, psychology, manufacturing, arts, sciences, birth, death, all these different things that um, creative writing, all these different things that you're wanting to participate in, or food, all these different things. Do you want all of one company to do all of these things, or do you want to set up different entities because you have a particular brand that you want to build and you want it to be underneath this particular entity that's going to protect it and keep it in layers? That's up to you. And if you need clarity on that, I know that was just kind of a a simplistic breakdown, but we can obviously go into depth if you have more questions about it. um, and so I'm always going to keep reiterating, but make sure you're doing the cosmology check. So, and then you got to decide what field are you getting into. Did you check the cosmology? I know I just said it last time, but did you check the cosmology cards to see if it makes sense that this is going to be something you're going to be really strong at and that you want to kind of build on top of your success? Do you know who's going to do marketing for you? Or are you going to do the marketing? Do you have a marketing budget? These are some things you want to look at because maybe you need to get flyers, business cards, purchase some giveaways, all these different things you have to consider. Particular bags, particular items. You gotta make room for this, or maybe you want to do social media marketing via Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, maybe even YouTube. I mean, these are some of the things you're going to have to consider. Or you're going to go in the street, on the feet, handing out flyers, doing, just talking to people, showing people, going to different trade shows. Like these are all forms of different forms of marketing, and you have to keep these things in mind. And you have to have a budget for that because there's a certain amount of time, 24 hours, and 8 of them I tell you sleep, or you should be. But so keep that in mind, right? So these are just different forms of marketing that you can do. Have a budget for that, and then stick to it. And sometimes you may go over it, and that's okay because sometimes it's better to do over marketing than no marketing at all because who's gonna know you, right? So anyway, setting up an e-commerce store, some type of store, and also how are people gonna pay you? When you got this business, and somebody's like, oh, okay, how much do I owe you? You're like, yeah, just hit my cash app. They're like, oh, you talking about the phone number? Yeah, yeah. Hold on, man. You got that. That's where that separation. You want to make sure you try to separate you and the way you're doing business, right? You want to. There's you, and then there's the entity. Have some way that sets up that entity to get paid. And you can set it up via Cash App, Zelle, some type of invoice system, PayPal, through the website. It doesn't matter. Figure out ways, you know, that you separate the two. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. And then just making sure that you're legally protected. Um, make sure that the business is set up. Make sure you have proper contracts in place, copyrights, trademarks, patents if you have something like that you need to get done in place. Um, these are some important things on the legal side of things that are going to help keep your business going in the right direction. Just in case maybe there's somebody who's trying to steal from you, then you're protected and you can hold them, perfectly responsibly, by, hey, you stole from me. This is, X, Y, Z. So currency and making it is important. Just knowing how to make money, know how to bring in revenue, always be selling, adding value to people. These things are important. These is what's going to help keep your business going in the right direction. If you're always adding value to people in some shape or fashion, business is going to find you, even just through word of mouth, right? And where are your people hanging out at? Who are your customers and where are they hanging out at? If you don't know these things, it's going to be a problem, y'all. I'm telling you, it's going to be a problem. So make sure. So if you don't have, even if it's just a basic business plan, and these are just some of the things that they'll tell you to have in a business plan, but overall you just need to know the mission, what is the actual function of the business or what business it is. Do you know your market? Do you have a team? What is the service or product and marketing and sales? Do we need funding? And what is the projection that we are going to be making money of some sort? This is just that simple. And if you can answer all these things, you'll be very well organized and be able to actually start running the business. Now, again, you may not have all the pieces, but if you can get the majority of the pieces and just get started, it's way better than just kind of being an analysis paralysis where you don't do anything because you're trying to be a perfectionist, or you're like, oh, I got to know all the ins and outs. I got to master this, that, the third. I mean, like, listen, have the basic plan, have the outline, and it's probably going to change. You need to keep yourself adaptable. If you're not adaptable, you're going to lose business, man. Like, things are changing ever so, fluently. So get comfortable knowing that it may need to change, right? But at least you have a skeleton, a baseline, and its outline. Always be promoting yourself, whether you're talking to people and you're listening to them. Listen to make sure to see if what you have can solve their problems. Because if you're listening and you hear somebody saying something, and if you're being a good listener, You can insert yourself and say, hey, I got this thing that can solve your problem that you just brought up. Versus, oh, I'm too scared. I don't want to be judged by them because like I'm trying to solve their problem with just by telling them about my business. And it's like that's how things happen. If you don't, if, again, nobody knows. If you're not promoting it, if you're not telling people about it, if you're not trying to solve people's problems, adding value, then how are you going to bring in revenue? How are you going to bring in customers and things of that nature? So, and then last but not least, but just get comfortable reading. Y'all need to read. Stop being lazy. Okay? Stop being lazy. Um, there are things that, as a business person, as a business owner that you're running indigenous businesses, you need to know how to read and you need to get comfortable reading documents, contracts, legal, all these things. You got to get comfortable reading. And just get comfortable with the negotiations too, because sometimes you're going to have to negotiate with people because they're like, okay, we want you here. We want your business to be here, and in exchange, maybe you can do X, Y, Z, barter, right? You're like, does that make sense? Does that put me in a good position without hindering my business? Okay, I'll think about it. Or oh, no, that doesn't make sense for me. Honestly, I'm gonna pass on the opportunity, but I appreciate it, right? Always keep in mind, try not to burn bridges. Um, sometimes sometimes it's just best to just leave that person alone if it makes sense. But if possible, do your best not to burn bridges. But read, y'all. Read, read, read. I'm telling y'all, read. Cannot exaggerate. Let me make sure that only two other things I want to talk about. Okay. Now, I always gotta put in something. So we are offering more in depth on business, as far as like operating your businesses as a indigenous national, indigenous American within the HAWAB, ARNA, Aboriginal Republic of North America. So definitely, if you want to get more in depth, maybe you may need some coaching as well. We do offer, or we have a course laid out as far as like the things you're going to need, the things you want to have, with the specific things, with specific action items that you're going to need to do today. Even though a lot of it was given today, but we actually have a course laid out so that if you maybe this is too much, and maybe you want to go at your own pace. Like, okay, you know what? I'm not ready yet, but maybe I'll be ready next week. We have the course. Definitely go to hawabdfw.org if interested. Definitely check out. And as well as we have other courses as far as like if you want to study to be a jurist, definitely go there. As well as you can go to the arnagovernment.org page to sign up to study to be a jurist, as well as different other courses. But just got to promote it that we do have online classes for different things. So keep that in mind, y'all. hawabdfw.org, and I always got to do that plug, y'all. So bear with me. So let's talk about tech basics. I know some of y'all like, I don't need no tech basics. I know technology. The way some of y'all be talking to me, I don't think y'all know tech. Some of the things that I'm like, don't you know how to do that? Some of y'all don't. And we can't be having that in 2022 and beyond because technology is kind of everything. It's been told to us that, pretty soon there's going to be we're going to have chips inside of us. I know some of that may scare y'all, but keep that in mind. Technology is going to be connected to everywhere via satellites, being connected to everywhere, internet just everywhere across the, just street down, you have internet, you have robots. You're going to need to know some of the basics, okay? I'm not asking y'all to like be, just like renowned experts, but like have some of the basics down so that you're not struggling when you're doing business with people. When people want to send contracts via Dropbox, don't be like, Dropbox? What's a Dropbox? Or Google Drive. You're like, Google Drive ain't working for me. Or DocuSign. They're like, DocuSign? Who does that? So this is the stuff that I'm like, that's the reason why for the tech basics that we're talking about this, so that you're not putting yourself at a disadvantage. Because sometimes when you're doing business with people, they're like, this is the only platform I use. Are you going to figure it out? And you're like, can't you just print it for me And they're like, wipe hands clean, and they're gonna move on to somebody else who's more, adaptable, or who has the basics of technology down where it's not that much of a struggle. So keep that in mind, y'all. Let me get some water, y'all. I know I'm talking too much. How am I doing, y'all? Am I losing y'all? Let me check real quick. Make sure I'm not losing. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. Okay, cool. All right, so let's keep this thing going. So you see some of these apps? Some of these apps should be familiar to y'all. Okay? These are just some of the Google apps, right? Obviously, y'all know how to find the browser of the internet, but these are some of the apps that are going to help make your business more automated, more functional, where it's streamlined, right? You need to keep track of what you're doing. You need to have a schedule of what you need to get done, what you need to accomplish, right? Google Calendar or the calendar that's on your phone, right? Either way, the whole idea is that to have some type of way to organize yourself and your business, okay? Some way, some shape or fashion, people need to contact you, whether it's via email or via telephone, okay? So that's why the Gmail app is there. Again, if you don't have to use Gmail. You use Proton Mail that, has a specific security layer of, making sure that people can't hack into you and, things of that nature. It's just whatever is your preference. But these are just some of the apps that you may want to, use to, streamline your business to keep things kind of functioning in the right way. Google Docs, right? Google Docs. Why Google Docs? Well, sometimes you may need to draft up a contract and you don't have time to print, send, share with people. Well, in Google Docs, I know I'm like, maybe I'm exaggerating, but like, no, seriously. Google Docs, you can share it, people look at it, they can sign it, and if they don't know how to sign it, see, that's when we need to dial it back to, okay, how do I digitize my signature? Very easy. Write out your signature on a piece of paper with no line, all rights reserved, take a picture. Boom. Digitize. So for those sometimes who people are like, oh, well, where do I sign or how do I sign? I can't sign in Google Docs or I can't sign here. That's one basic way that you can digitize your signature, right? The other way is you can use DocuSign. DocuSign has a program where you can type in your name and you can obviously type in all rights reserved at the end and you can snip it, right? You can snip it or grab it, whatever, platform you're using, take it, save it as your digital signature. And they have different fonts and styles. So these are things you're going to need to do because maybe you don't have time or the person doesn't have time to print it out and you need to sign, right, as you're reading it, right? So these are just different things. Maybe you can't meet because the person's like in, 30 states over. Google Meet, y'all. There's always you can do it via Instagram, Facebook, but these are just examples that you can utilize to tap into. I know y'all are like, oh, you're talking about something that is beyond me. And then just the last thing is just storing files, right? Google Drive. So anyway, keep these things in mind, right? All right, some of y'all on your computer, maybe you get a zip file. You're like, how do I deal with zips? I know this is very elementary, y'all, but I said basics. Here's how you either compress it or zip it, or you unzip it, right? So you can either go to your Windows where it says compress file, compress folder, and then it compresses it, zips it up. Or you do it on your Mac and you send it to, to compress it. And that's the same thing, it zips it up. Maybe you want to, okay, you get a zip file. You like, nothing's in the folder. Kojo, why you send me an empty folder? Hold on now. Wherever it is, download the file. First download it. Save it to you somewhere where you can find it. Downloads or documents or wherever you prefer. That's desktop. Right click. Click extract or unzip. These are some of the words you're going to need to be familiar with. Extract, unzip. So I know some of y'all have come to me before and I don't see nothing in there. Extract, unzip. Okay? So very basic, nothing too deep, y'all. Okay? You need to decide. I already know where my mind is. But laptop versus desktops. Desktop is very affordable. It's cheaper than a laptop, but you got to think about it. Laptop is portable. Obviously, I have an iMac, but I can't take that thing with me. It's not portable like a MacBook, right? I can close it. I can go somewhere else, right? So you have to think these things through when you're doing it, and also depending on what your phone that you're using, you got to think about the phone too, because whether you have an Android, Apple, Windows, Google, whatever, you need to think about these things so that everything just kind of streamlines. You want to make things as easy as possible. So if somebody says, "Hey, can you share something to me on my laptop?" And maybe y'all both have a Mac. Well, boom, you can be sure to know how to do AirDrop. Send it over. You need some type of internet connection. Y'all need to be on the same network. Okay, that's how you do it. And it also uses Bluetooth technology, but it's mainly through the Wi-Fi that you're able to send data through the AirDrop. So technology, 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 y'all. Keep these things in mind. These are what's going to help you run your business, right? Maybe you need a camera. Maybe you're looking to a camera and you're like, well, I don't want to buy a Canon, or whatever. Maybe you just need to buy a phone that has a powerful camera, and that's your camera, your phone, your business, your laptop, and everything built in one. Because this device is so powerful that you don't really need a laptop unless you need to do certain things, and maybe you just because most things can be done on the phone. So that's what I'm saying. So you have to keep these things in mind, and depending on your style of operating, if it fits your needs to just use the phone, then just use the phone. But if you need the phone, laptop, maybe in a desktop, then that's what you need, because that's how you keep yourself organized. That's how you operate. That's how you operate your business. You know yourself better than anyone else, especially if you get a cosmology reading through Yogi. You can get a cosmology through Powhatan, Bach. I can do the basics. You can also get it one done through Ken. Um, whoever is taking the cosmology course, you can get these things taken care of, right? So let's keep this thing moving. Hotspot. I know some of y'all like, wow, hotspot. Well, maybe you need that for your business, because maybe you don't want to get home internet. And you're like, well, I have internet on my phone and it's unlimited. I can hotspot to any of my devices if I need to. And it's really true. Via printer, via whatever, your laptop, desktop, you just hotspot it. It picks it up, connect to it, boom, you have internet. And it's that simple. So these are just some of the things you're going to need to be able to do, because maybe you're in a place where you're like, oh man, I can't connect to, Starbucks because there's no internet here, or I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm driving and I pull to the side of the road and I need internet real quick because I need to send something. Well, you have a hotspot on your phone that you thought of that you can use, and boom, you're doing business that way. So just these are some of the things you're going to need to be able to do, right? Especially since everything's going to be connected in. So I know we talked about this already. Oh, emails, y'all. I know some of y'all maybe have some difficulties with emails. So whether you're using Proton Mail, Gmail, Yahoo, whatever, um, some of the things you need to be aware of is how to send emails, blind copy, CC. What does all these things mean? Um, Cascaded emails, where you need to expand, how to search for emails, how to delay sending emails because maybe you didn't want to send it at this time, but you want to send it at a particular later date, how to be able to do that. These are things you're going to need to know via email. How to insert particular documents into an email. Maybe there's certain limits on email that you can send as far as like the file size. So maybe you have to upload the file because it's over 25 megabytes to a Google Drive, copy that link, put it in the email, or via Dropbox, whichever one you prefer. It doesn't matter. It's the same principle. Put it in the email so the person can download it, right? These are things you're going to need to be able to do for your business, period. Like, I'm telling y'all. And you need to be comfortable doing these things. You need to be able to search for emails. So if somebody says, hey, I sent you an email on such amount of date, you should be able to find it, not, oh, I didn't get it. You need to find it and search for it. And keep up with your emails. Until you grow your business where you can hire a personal assistant or a virtual assistant, you need to keep up with your emails. And if there's something you may have missed, that's okay. Just follow up when the next available chance you get. because you're going to be busy, you're going to be booming, and that's what we want you to be. So that's a good place to be. So if you do, get some help, right? I know we talked about the drive, but like there's some people who maybe don't know how to download things from the drive if they have a Google Drive or somebody sends them a link. There's always a place when they send you, you click on it, and there's a place for you to download. You see that where it says download? Okay, not gonna spend too much time more on that. Microsoft Office. You can get this on Windows or Mac or whatever. But I encourage y'all to look into getting this because it has Excel, it has Outlook, Word, PowerPoint, Note, all these things that you probably may need or may not need, but you may need one thing, and But these are just some of the things you're going to need, right? Because sometimes most people utilize these apps, so they send you a Word file. You're like, Word? You mean text file? Even though you can convert the word into text, but maybe you'll lose. What happens is that you may lose a lot of the contents. And you don't want to lose some of the contents. You want to open the file as is without losing translation, right? So keep these things in mind. It's a recommendation. Probably think Kojo don't know what he's talking about. Listen, y'all, I'm telling you, it's useful. Okay. Google Voice, all about that separation, right? So instead of having your business list your personal cell number, you can get Google Voice in the meantime, where people can call that Google Voice number, but it forwards that call or text to your personal cell phone, right? And you can have it where it's set up for personal use, or you can have it for business use. Obviously, you want to use it for business use, and then eventually work your way up to where you get a 800 number if it makes sense for your business or for whatever it is that you're doing. The whole idea is that when you're laying out your business, you're getting business credit, you're set up as a company. People can look at it and say, oh, they Google your business and they see on your Google page, or they see it on the yellow pages, because you can set up pages on Google pages or yellow pages. It doesn't matter. Either way, it's still a good look. And they can call that number, or they can reach your business via that email. Whatever the case is, that's what you want to have set up. And in the meantime, maybe you're like, oh, well, it costs money, right? No, no, no. Google Voice is free. But if you want to get an 800 number, that obviously costs a monthly, recurring fee, right? So I know we talked about it, but make sure whatever you decide, whether it's Google, whether it's iPhone, whether it's Android, whether it's Windows, whether it's Motorola, it don't matter. But pick a phone that meets your needs, that meets your style for your business. That's all that this means. Period. And then getting a domain, right? These are some of the domain places that you can shop at, right? And it depends on the price. GoDaddy, Namecheap, Google Domains, Gator.com, right? All these places, you want to find the best price for your buck for your business, for your e-commerce store, or for whatever business that you're running. If you're obviously doing commerce, right? You want to obviously shoot for the .com, right? Especially because that sets a precedence and things of that nature. Or maybe you're a nonprofit, so maybe you want to get a .org, right? So it just depends on again the entity that you have and what business that you're actually running, right? So if you need help on this area, reach out to us. Maybe enroll in the course. We can get you some help, right? So, and then making sure you're using Google. Google is there. Know how to sign in. Don't get confused if you're like, oh, well, I thought it was somebody else's email, but I thought it was really mine, but I was logging into another entity's email. You got to get these things straight. You can't get confused. This is how, especially if you're going to be operating multiple businesses, be able to navigate and know which email you're operating out of. And it usually tells you in the right-hand corner when you go to google.com, right? So, on that note, family, y'all, appreciate y'all's time, patience. I'm going to open up the floor for questions. If there's no questions, y'all, I definitely appreciate y'all's ear. Uh, let me see if I can get to y'all's questions, y'all. I know I've been talking. Let me make sure. Is my That'd be funny. Yeah, I mean that's awesome that you got a MacBook. I like Macs. They're pretty easy to utilize and operate for your business. Honestly, but that's just me personally. I know a lot of people utilize Windows as well, but it's just like Windows. It just for whatever reason it just doesn't flow well. But again, it just depends on your preference. It just what makes sense for you. So somebody asks, what do you think about loans? Okay, I mean, what about loans, right? So loans. I know we talked about this as far as like in the last class, as far as like funding and getting money and things of that nature. So listen, you can get credit cards, you can get specific loans for your businesses, right? But you have to build it up, where your business is reporting some type of lines of credit, right? Where you apply for Capital One Spark credit card that they'll approve it because they can see you have history, right? So that goes into the business building strategy as far as like loans, and then the same thing. Once you have that credibility, you have A1 credit score on your EIN. You can go into places like banks, get loans, or you can go into car dealerships, and you can they can give your business a loan um, for that vehicle, right? Or mortgage or whatever the case is. The idea is to um, have access to capital, right? So that's I mean loans are good. You just have to be responsible with what the use for it is. If you're just messing around trying to trick and spend it, and you're not even trying to run a business, loans probably not the good thing for you because you still need to figure out how to manage your money. Period. You gotta manage your money. Period. So that's what I think about that. Somebody asked, do we need LLC for like food or produce that um, take internally? Well, there is according to the Department of Agriculture, USDA, you do need some form of licensing. So you definitely want to utilize or get an LLC. You can get an LLC through ARNA. We definitely can help you with that. So I definitely recommend doing that because I think there's some form of licensing and some other requirements that you need to do for the USDA, especially if you're operating, if you want to partner and work with different entities and things of that nature. So um, let me make sure that I'm not missing. I know I can use some help with iPhone. See, I mean, as far as like the iPhones, I mean, it's really listen, y'all. You can download files. You can get anything utilizing the iPhone. You can screen record. You can voice memo. You can write notes. You can streamline it, send it over to the from the iPhone to the Mac. If you're connected to via the cloud, make sure you're backing up your stuff on the iPhone. I know I'm like talking through it very quickly, but it's like and maybe you need to share files with somebody who's next to you. You can just tap your phone on their phone, and then they'll share via airport or AirPlay mode. So these are just certain tactics you can do: recording, video editing, going live, streaming. I mean, all these things can be done through the phone. So like, it's like having a laptop. Is it really necessary? Probably not. So, but you know, for some particular things there is, right? Um, Let me make sure that I'm understanding. How early should you get started with business credit? Um, how early should you get started with business credit? As soon as possible. As soon as you have a business, as soon as you have your EIN, especially through ARNA. Um, as far as like, when you have your EIN, you have your articles, you have the adult tax certificate, all that stuff, you have all that in order. You definitely want to get started by, building business credit. And some of the easiest methods that you can do is obviously, going through certain entities like, um, what is it, nav.com. Why would you use nav.com? Because it actually checks your business credit history, and it actually reports to your business credit, right? You want reporting things showing up on your report, and that's how you're going to build. That's how you're going to establish your business credit, because they're seeing revolving trade lines on the account. So you got Nav, you got I think there's a T-shirt company I mentioned before. Um, all these things you want to utilize, or maybe um, certain entities like depending on AT&T to mobile, um, you apply using your EIN as far as like for your account, and so that's reporting onto your business credit file, and then you just want to show that you have multiple trade lines, minimum four, connected to that EIN number, right? And then from there you can go as far as applying for a Staples credit card, um, even a Capital One Spark credit card, where you can start it off. I think the baseline is like $1,000 or $2,000. You can even get $2,000. So I think you should get started early as soon as you have your business entity, you have your name, you have your structure, get all that squared away. You can go to Dun and Bradstreet, get a DUNS number. It's free, but always keep in mind that the big entities that where most companies for loans and things of that nature, where they're pulling information from, is not really Dun and Bradstreet, for even though they say that, but it's really from Equifax Business and TransUnion Business. So that's why that EIN is important to build up. So making sure that your EIN is connected, that all the things that you're doing with these different companies, it reflects the EIN, right? Because there's some places that when you apply for Capital One, I keep using that one because you can go to Capital One Spark, and there's no place for the Dun and Bradstreet number. So you spend all this time making sure that the DUNS number is reflected, which is not bad. It's a good thing, but it's just like, but it's the EIN that they're looking at, because they're just saying, what's your what's the EIN? And that's what they're going to look at to see, oh, there's nothing here. So that's why the Equifax Business and TransUnion Business is important to build, to make sure that these companies that you're doing business with are reporting to your for your EIN, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Do you know how to set up QR codes for business cards and websites? Like someone can scan a QR code. Yeah. There's a company actually that makes this card, and it has a QR code on the center, so people can like actually look you up. And I forget the name of that card. Let me see if I can look it up. That's one way you could do that, or you could set up a QR code. It's pretty easy to do. Um, you just type in setting up QR code. You put in the parameters for that, and then you can say, okay, when somebody scans this, it pulls up this particular website or this particular information when they hold up to their phone. So it's not that difficult. Business card. I forgot what it was called. Da, 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 da. Yeah, once I think of the name, it's like a hard wallet, I think. Let me make sure. Can we rent or buy property with our business name? Absolutely. You can. It is not that hard. So I'll give you the most simplistic way without getting too lost in the weeds. So you have your eye on this piece of land, right? Um, and this is what we did within HAWAB, right? It's not that deep. We talked about this at the powwow as well. We even showed it. So saw this land. It was through a broker, um, but you can also get land through a seller, somebody that just needs to offload, you know, this land that they don't want to, have anymore. And so you can work a deal where you're doing an owner finance, where you're making monthly payments, but you're not utilizing a loan. The loan is actually the agreement of what y'all agreed to pay for this land. So it could be like $10,000 or $5,000, and they're like, okay, who do you want it under? Don't put it under yourself, right? Say, put it under this entity, and you give them the entity information, such as the EIN, the name, address, and all that stuff. And then you're going to sign as a representative for that entity that you're doing business as, right? So that's in one scenario. The other scenario is a house. So that's like an owner finance situation. So let's say maybe you want to get a loan. Well, not get a loan, but like you're gonna get a loan, but like you're buying a house and you don't have the funds, so you can get a loan via your business if you've built up enough business credit, especially dealing with that EIN, and that you can go to a bank. You can say, "Hey, I'm looking at doing this real estate investment deal." You can lay out the game plan, your business plan, and what you want to do for the business, and they'll approve of it. In most cases, especially if you have the credit, shown and how much money you need for it, right? You can take that funds, and then you can buy the house. When they put the deed and things of that nature, you always make sure that you put it underneath your entity. Now, as far as making it tax exempt, that's a different conversation, and that's something that you're going to need a little bit of jurist assistance on that. Okay, but it's really that simple. It's not that complicated. It's not that deep. You can either do the owner finance way, where you're working with the owner or a broker, and they work out some type of purchase agreement that you make monthly payments, and it goes and the property belongs to this entity once the payment is done and completed, right? Or you get a loan from a bank, or even from a investor, and y'all again do a private agreement, and it's through your entity, not necessarily you, and then you always have you lay it out as far as like what the payment that you're going to do to pay for it. So hopefully that makes sense. We can obviously get more in depth to it, but that's the simplistic version of it, and that's what we did was the owner finance for the different lands that we got within HAWAB. What are your thoughts on opening Airbnb, and does it count as a business in the tribe? Well, I mean, as far as like doing Airbnb, it's the same thing. Um, Whatever your account is through Airbnb, whether it's via your business, there has to be a place where it's the name of it, either the name of the person or name of the company, and the EIN that's associated with it, and how you get paid, right? So it's still a business because I mean, um, people are doing it. People have been doing it. I remember people doing it like 2 years ago when it first started. Like, I remember hearing it through Ty Lopez or something like that. So that is another business that you can tap into um, as far as like you know a form of business. And whether you want to do it as an LLC, as corp, or even a tribal LLC, it just depends on how many Airbnbs are you going to be managing, and buying and renting and things of that nature. So it just depends on your strategy and what you want to do with that Airbnb as far as your strategy goes. But yeah, that's still a legitimate business. So because you're obviously dealing with contracts, you're like, okay, if I have a tenant here and I'm managing here, if I put a lump sum of money down for this Airbnb. Now I need to quickly find tenants, or not even tenants, but just people who are going to want to rent it out for that particular moment of time, right? So that's still a business. So um, let me make sure that I didn't miss anything else. I think I'm good. Okay. Well, family, I appreciate the time. I won't hold it all up. Hopefully, this was useful, helpful to y'all. Again, definitely like, subscribe, share this video. The whole idea is that we want nationals and non-nationals who get a business through us not know how to use it, be able to tap into it. Um, what was it? Something I want to know more about the HAWAB store. I mean, as far as like the HAWAB store goes, I mean, there's like we have a plan for nationals um, within HAWAB, and then I think we're going to open it up to nationals across the 50 federal enclaves. That if they want to have their business and some of the items that they want to sell listed on the HAWAB site. That way, that's a form of revenue for them to get paid, as well as I think we take, like, I forget the percentages, but that's negotiable. Obviously, the whole idea is that we want to bring awareness to people's businesses. So if they want to list particular items on the store, obviously we'll make sure that whenever somebody does purchase something, that notification gets sent to your email, so that you can make sure to fulfill it, right? And it'll send the information as far as like where the person is purchasing, the address and all that other stuff. But that's another way to make revenue, is by having some items listed in the store, and that's more forms of traffic. We can also do business listings as well, on the HAWAB DFW site. So if you have a business that you want listed on there, let us know and we can definitely help you with that. So yeah, family, appreciate y'all's attention. Again, the idea is just to be useful, helpful to y'all, to operate your business and not be so confused as a new national that, hey, I don't know how to get started with my business. And again, definitely gonna plug in. Um, Hold on, so I know y'all keep throwing out these questions on me. How does it work if I have an LLC through the U.S. government, but I also want to get protection from ARNA? Okay, so we always recommend that if you're gonna have a business that you may have started, um, let's say you started a business and you did it via the U.S. jurisdiction, right? So, and you want to have a business through ARNA, that's kind of basically the same entity. Well, the difference is that one entity can be shut down, taxed, things of that nature, versus one entity cannot. Now, a LLC and a tribal LLC, that's the one entity that, um, again, within our jurisdiction, can't be taxed, but at the same time provides the same legal protections that somebody can't come in, garnish, things of that nature. But um, you are still responsible for making sure that you do get your LLC still registered through the state, because banks and their procedures, you're not able to actually open up bank accounts without actually having it registered through the state. And we have a particular method that we do to make sure that it's communicated that this is a indigenous business, tribal LLC, and things of that nature, that make sure that it can't be levied, has the protections and things of that nature, so long as that the person is not doing anything crazy and getting themselves into contracts that put themselves in a bad position. So we have, like I said, we have tribal LLCs that you can start within ARNA, and if you have a business already that was an LLC already, we can obviously create a variation of it with still the same name, so that you're still able to transfer whatever you've done. Maybe you have a certain amount of business credit that you've established already on that U.S. jurisdiction entity. You just want to transfer over to the tribal LLC so that things are protected. You aren't losing and starting all over. You're still building certain credibility, and you're not having to basically start all over. So, and your stuff can't be garnished, can't be leaned, unless you sign yourself for a contract that you didn't read carefully. So the idea is that you still get protections even though you have a tribal LLC versus the United States, LLC that you registered that um, wasn't done via ARNA. So all entities via ARNA that are registered have the protections that either can't be taxed, garnished, leaned on, and things of that nature, unless it's put in a position where they sign a contract that binds them into some type of position where they do have to do whatever it is. But in most cases, get with a jurist. We can read over the things. We can set up your tribal LLC and make sure that the handshake is done from one entity to the other to make sure that you don't lose anything. But typically, they can come in and shut it down, especially a U.S. entity, for no reason. I've seen that happen before. So, and that's the benefits of having indigenous businesses through ARNA. So hopefully that makes sense. If not, I definitely can walk you through that again, one-on-one. Make sure that We are good. There's no other questions. Okay, cool. Make sure. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna save this video, y'all. Be sure to like, subscribe, share this video, y'all, and yeah, we're gonna keep doing more videos like this to, yeah, man, y'all keep throwing these questions. How do you link your EIN to your business name? Is it only through opening a business account? So linking your EIN to your business name. So when you the way we that's a private discussion. But we have a particular method within ARNA, but it's how we set it up is that because of the the way the IRS and stuff like that, you're still connected to the entity that we're registering for you, but we have a particular process that we do. So it's always going to be connected to you. So I'm not sure if I understand the question as far as like how do you link your EIN to your business name. Um, yeah, I'm not following that question. So if you want to have a discussion about that, fam, just shoot us an email via HAWAB, or one of the sites that are listed in the description. So on that, if there's no other questions, you're welcome. Um, yeah. So if there's no other questions, then fam, I'm gonna save this video so that everybody can watch it, share it, blah blah blah, and we'll do more videos like this to keep y'all going and to make sure that y'all grow y'all's business as nationals and non-nationals. Okay, family. So on that note, family, I'm gonna see y'all. We're gonna see y'all next week, and peace.